Why do sports people, people who do sports, why do they make such good business people, such good entrepreneurs? Now, it's often a question I get asked, and I thought about it so much for literally 20 years. Like, why do sports people do so well in business? And I'm talking, usually if you're a big company and you're hiring, you know that rather than the best schools, rather than the best degrees, if you can find elite sports people or people who've done really high level, who've competed at a really high level in sports, they're probably going to perform better and be the best employees. It's exactly why they do really well in business, why they're great at setting up businesses, why they're great entrepreneurs. And it's number one reason for me is you learn in sport very early in life, and you do this from a really young age, so that if you think about that 10,000 hours, about you gathering 10,000 hours, what you've learned is you find a way. Whatever it is, whatever problem you come up against, whatever obstacle or speed hump, whatever you want to call it that you come up against, you know you can find a way. You know that somebody has come up against that problem before. Somebody's had that obstacle and somebody's overcome it. And you're pretty confident on the football field, in a running race, that if somebody else has had that problem, you can also figure out the solution. You can also get around it and navigate the issue. Everything else that it takes to be good in business, to be a good entrepreneur, about working, the work ethic, working and working and working without any reward for a long period of time, you've probably already done since you were a kid, since you're in football, since you couldn't even kick the ball in football. And you've learned that, you know what, I love being part of a team. I love the social, I love the community aspect that comes with being around the football players. You probably started so young in football that you didn't even realize that those were the things that you enjoyed about football. So it's a natural part of your life that you knew that for a long period of time you weren't as good as the other players on the football field, but you kept on at it because you enjoyed it, because you enjoyed being out there on a Saturday morning. And you might get beat every week for a year. It doesn't matter. You're with your mates and you're playing football. And so you realize that eventually, if you just keep at it, if you keep consistent, even as a 4 or 5-year-old, keep consistent, eventually something's going to happen. Something's going to click. Where you think, right, okay, this is working. And then you think, right, this guy's really good at taking free kicks. I'm going to spend some time with him. You might be 6, 7, 8 years old and have these realizations. He's really good at taking penalties. Why is he scoring every penalty and why am I not? What do I need to do more like him and less like me to be better at taking penalties? So you think this from a really young age in sport, and you're taught this and you naturally learn it over years and decades. Then all of a sudden you transfer into business and you realize that, okay, I'm not very good I have 10 things to focus on. I'm not very good in three of them. So you realize that you've got to find people who are good in each aspect and learn from them. Simple as that. And of the 10 points, you might be great in 2, okay in 3, 4, and okay in 3, 4. So it's important for you to realize and self-awareness, massive part of sport. What am I good at in sport? I'm a good defender. I'm good at tackling. Therefore, I'm going to stay back. I'm going to help my team win this match by not letting people score, not letting people get past me and get towards our goalkeeper. Exactly the same in business. You have to be so self-aware. You have to realize what are your strengths and weaknesses. What do you need to outsource? What do you need to get better at? What do you need to develop? Where do you need to hire in the help? All that is so natural in sport because there is no bigger meritocracy than sport. And especially if you think about endurance sport, and most of you watching this will be from an endurance background. A lot of highly successful business people really into triathlon, really into ultramarathons, really into marathon running, really into cycling. It's because all the things that make them a good business person and all the things that make them a good sports person interchange. Very, very simple to say, okay, I'm not very good at cycling, but I love being with the lads on a Saturday, and therefore I'm going to turn up, I'm going to do some extra homework on a Tuesday and Thursday indoors on the turbo trainer after I finish work or before work. It's going to make me feel better, so I'm going to get that happy I'm going to be in that positive feedback loop, and then I'm going to see myself getting better. So all those people that are not really thinking, and then maybe 30 of you go out for a cycle, on a Saturday, all those people are not thinking about the game or have been cycling for the last 20, 30 years and have not thought about improvement, you'll gradually be moving through that pack. And when it gets towards the end of the ride and maybe you're racing for the last 30K of the ride, you'll find yourself out in front all of a sudden. You'll realize, actually, whatever it takes to be good in one thing, it takes to be good in everything. And so you realize that, yeah, you may have some talent. You might have, you might be 6'6" tall. You might have an incredibly big back and massive hands, and it might set yourself up like Michael Phelps to be a great swimmer. But without his tenacity, without his work ethic, without his discipline of getting in the pool every day, without doing all the weight training, without doing all the cross training, he wouldn't have won all the gold medals that he's won at the Olympics. Yeah, he's a freak of nature, and so naturally it puts him in to that pool without trying to make a joke. But once he's in there and once he's training against other freaks of nature. So he's got to be up there, and he's got to realize that I can't rely on my talent. And so talent, it's not a myth, but it will only take you so far. Of course, intellect in business is really, really useful. To be more intelligent than your competitor is fantastic. But usually intelligence in a business scenario means that you're open to suggestions. You know that you want to be the dumbest person in the room. You want to hire people around you that are way more talented in areas, because you realize, as a footballer would on a field, if you're the midfielder and you're a 5 out of 10, but if you've got 2 strikers that are 10 out of 10s, if you've got a back 4 and they're all like 7, 8, 9 out of 10s, the average of the team goes up, and therefore you're going to be winning games. And even if you're the captain in the middle of the field and you're 5 out of 10, but you've got great people because you're great at recruiting, exactly the same in business. It's exactly the same in business, no different at all. If you realize that you can hire in people that are way better than you, pay them a fair salary, incentivize them, and they're just going to run with the ball. They're going to do great, because everything that you've learned so far in your life in sports applies to business, applies to your work. You're in a job right now and you want to do something for yourself because you feel like everything you've learned in sport is really helping your employer right now, is really helping your boss. But it could be helping you if you were to start. You'll realize that once you become an entrepreneur, once you set up a business, there's so much that you haven't thought about, so much. You go into ChatGPT, what does it start to take a business? And you can get a good idea, you can ask some questions back and forth, you can maybe employ a business coach and maybe get them to talk through all the things that you will have taken for granted. Whatever the career you're in right now, whatever the company you're in right now, you're probably surrounded by really talented people who are doing a lot and supporting you in a big way in order to make you successful. So when you start yourself, you've either got to have the investment in order to put those people in place very quickly, or if you're going organically and you're building from the ground up, you're going to realize that very quickly you've got to put the right people in place. Same in cricket, same in football, same in running, same in swimming, same in triathlon, same in any type of sport. So all those transferable skills that you've got so far are going to apply. You learn that whatever the problem that you're coming up against, you can find a way. And that's the biggest talent that you will have. You know that you positively can find a way. So nothing is too stressful because you'll find a way. Nothing is too big of a problem because you're going to find a way. You're going to find a solution to the problem. It's going to be the best possible solution. And it might be a silver lining. There might be a silver lining there in terms of that problem is probably a problem that your competitors are facing too. They might not have been able to get over that hurdle. They might not have been able to find a solution. So it might be a silver lining in terms of not only do you find a solution, but you eradicate a lot of your competition. Exactly the same in football, exactly the same in any sport. If you take anything away from this, the fact that you can find a way puts you ahead of 90% of people. The fact that you have the discipline puts you ahead of 90% of people. Tenacity, resilience, the work ethic number one in terms of you doing well in any aspect of running, sport, business, your work, whatever it is, number one is work ethic. And then the delayed gratification. Can you set up a business and nothing happens for 2 years? Can you do that and you still be as enthusiastic in month 24 as you were in month 1? If that's you, go for it, because I promise you, you've got all the skills. Be wise, be smart about it, get advice, but go for it. Because everything you've done in sports so far has set yourself up for success. Good luck.